Hi, I'm the real Vince Samuels, and welcome to the Loft Garden.
So in this episode I'm growing mushrooms. Not magic mushrooms, but the gourmet oyster mushrooms. So this mushroom grow kit comes from Fungi Futures, and they actually recycle coffee grinds from cafes and use that to create these grow kits. And the instructions are very simple. You just peel off the front window, and then with a knife you cut through a layer of plastic. And I chose the grow kit from Fungi Futures because they are a socially responsible company, and also the grow kits that they make have a very high success rate. And I also like the idea that they do use the recycled otherwise waste product that we can grow food from, and that's quite a cool idea. So once I've cut the plastic, I just peel it back, and then I'm going to need to take the whole thing out of the box and dunk it in a pile of water. Now you might be able to see on the box there it says harvest within 14 days of opening. For me it was more like 8 days. So for 4 days it sat and just did its thing, and then it took about 4 days for the mushrooms to grow to their full size. So I've taken the bag out of the box and I'm going to dunk it in this bucket of water, and you leave it in there for about 24 hours or overnight. And I had to actually weigh it down because obviously there's a lot of air in there and it keeps floating up. All in all, when I took it out, it wasn't completely soaking, but I think the idea here is just to shock the mycelium into flowering or producing mushrooms, as it may be. So once I've done that, I then I've left it for 24 hours. I moved it into the loft garden, and I've been coming up twice a day to give it a spray.
So I've actually made a little bit of a rudimentary mistake. I didn't plan ahead. Mushrooms need to be kept moist, so once or twice a day you need to give them a bit of a spray with a sprayer. However, I'm going away for 3 or 4 nights to a sailing festival on the Isle of Wight, so these mushrooms are going to be left unattended for that time and they won't be kept moist. So I'm going to try my best to keep them alive, but if not I might come home to some dead mushrooms. So we'll try some things, and if it works we're in luck. If not, then have some good time-lapse footage of a mushroom dying. Hopefully that's not the case. So what I've done to try and minimise the fallout of my mistake is I basically filled the bag as much as possible with water. So it will stay moist hopefully for those 4 days or so, and I've also given it a spray. Then I've left a container of water in there to try and keep the humidity levels up. Now all the evidence will be there, so we've got this time-lapse camera sitting on here. It's that thing there, and that will tell us the whole story. So fingers crossed, and back in 4 days.
Before I left, I managed to get this little clip of the mushrooms that were starting to grow when I'd left.
So I got back from my holiday, and when I came up here the mushrooms were not looking so good. They were looking quite shriveled and small, and I just assumed that, you know, I wasn't here to water them and they just didn't grow. But I looked at the time-lapse video, and what we can see is that they actually grew fantastically and extremely quickly, like within about 3 or 4 days. I just wasn't here to pick them. Now I was too upset when I got back and I saw my mushrooms had grown fantastically and then shriveled that I didn't do an update. So it's been 2 weeks or so since then. So I contacted the guys that I got this mushroom grow kit from, Fungi Futures, and I asked them, can I get another crop from the same grow kit? And they said sure, just let it dry out and then give it a bit of a shock treatment again. Get it nice and wet, and then see if you can bring it back to life. So what I did is I took out the shriveled mushrooms and I fed them to the worms. Then what I've done is I've covered the mushroom grow kit with some toilet paper, and I've just let that dry out for a week or 2. Then I've started to wet the toilet paper twice a day, and now we're starting to get some more little mushrooms coming up. So I'm going to get the time-lapse cameras back out, and I put them back on, and this time I'm going to come up here twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, give them a little bit of a spray, and see if we can't get a second harvest out of the same grow kit, which could be quite cool. Now for that first period, what I do is I have my light coming on 15 minutes in every hour, every single hour, just to give them that little bit of light. When they've started to show their little flower buds, like you can see it is now, or mushrooms, little baby mushrooms, I then switch the light to 24 hours a day. I do that more for the time-lapse video than I do for the mushrooms. I believe they can get away with 12 hours, 18 hours, any sort of amount of light, as long as they've got some light. But I do 24 hours, so we get a nice little time-lapse video of them growing.
After a few short days, the mushrooms are ready to harvest, and to harvest them you literally just gently lift them up out of the grow kit. So the second harvest is a lot smaller than the first one would have been if I was home, but for the amount of effort I'm still pretty pleased, and considering this is the second harvest from the same grow kit. After chopping off some bits and a quick clean up, this is what we're left with. So what I've learned is getting a good grow kit is essential, and keeping that grow kit moist is equally as essential. The lighting, I found, if you had it on for 15 minutes in every hour for the first period until it started to flower, that was perfect, and with 24 hours of light, that was also perfect. Less light is absolutely doable, and all in all, the requirement to produce food with mushrooms is very, very low. So I found growing mushrooms to be really fun and really easy, and really foolproof, unless you're going on holiday of course. But most of all, I found growing mushrooms really quick, and the produce that you can get in a short period of time is absolutely amazing. Mushrooms are absolutely perfect for growing in the loft garden. They take up very little space. There's a harvest within a very short period of time, we're talking 7 or 8 days. And on a per square foot basis, we're producing just a huge amount of food. Just in my little grow tent in the loft, I'm sure I could be producing 20 kilos of mushrooms a week if I really decided to go for it. Please subscribe now for more Loft Garden experiments.